Welcome to Everything Life Coaching with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux, founders of JRNI Coaching. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit jrni.co. That's JRNI.co.
On this episode, we're going to talk about how to find the right life coaching training program. Noelle, how are you?
I'm pretty sick, John. How are you?
Oh, you're sick. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So my voice may sound a little bit froggy or, I don't know, cool, depending on your perspective.
I'm going to say cool. All right, let's talk about how to find the right training program.
Yeah. So, a lot of times when folks hop on calls with me and they're interested in the Catalyst Life Coaching program, I start from the beginning and say, how much do you know about coaching or the field of coaching? And often the answer is not much.
Right.
And one of the most interesting things about the field of coaching as a whole is that it's really broad. So things that we have heard of and taken for granted our whole lives are actually part of the field of coaching. So athletic coaching, for example, is a singular field within the field of coaching. Baseball coaches, basketball coaches, track coaches, Olympic weightlifting coaches, peak athletes need to have a coach in order to perform at their best. And so that's a really beautiful analogy to kind of orient someone to what is coaching and how does it work? Because the truth is that if everybody were capable of living their best life, of driving themselves to peak performance, they would. But as humans, we simply can't get there on our own.
Right. And also when you say life coach, I mean, that's so broad.
It's so broad.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. There are four broad categories of coaching: athletic, executive coaching / business coaching, which is really its own field.
Right.
Health coaching, which is 100% its own field. And then life coaching, which is kind of the catch-all for everything else.
Yeah. So
Looking at
when you say health coaching, what do you mean, like nutrition or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the realms of athletic, executive / business coaching, and health coaching all really require some sort of specialized training in those arenas. So athletic coaching, you're coaching athletes. If you don't know about the sport or physiology or sports psychology, you won't be able to do it.
Right.
Executive and business coaching is the same thing. You might find startup or entrepreneurial coaches, folks who coach executives, folks who coach small businesses. And business coaching also has a secondary subset of consulting, where you're bridging from a pure coaching format where you're asking questions and you're actually giving advice.
So I
if
think with business coaching and executive coaching, what's different about that than life coaching, one of the things is that you actually have to have some kind of resume. You have to have done something in the business, right? To actually,
100%.
but life coaching is different.
But yeah, life coaching is different. And then, looking at health coaching, just a couple of items there. Same thing as business coaching. You have to have some kind of medical background, medical experience. So there's certified chronic illness recovery coaches. There are nutritionists who
Right.
do nutritional coaching. You need specific knowledge for that stuff. Same deal with addictions recovery coaches. There are very specific addiction recovery coach training programs. And if you're interested in that field, I would strongly recommend going that route. And then there are illness specific coaches like diabetes. And what we're seeing in the field is that big companies who want to hire coaches are really happy to have somebody come in with generalist training like what we do, and then they train them on the illness specific type of coaching like diabetes.
Right.
Diabetes coaching is big business right now. We actually have a couple of our coaches who do that.
Wow. I love how specific that is.
So specific.
Yeah.
And then once we get into the field of life coaching, it's so broad. That's where it goes bonkers, and
Yeah.
that's where it's kind of tricky to quantify it. So I'm just going to toss out a bunch of stuff that all falls under the category of life coaching: self-esteem and self-love, transformational coaching, transition coaching through like big life moments.
Right.
There are vegan coaches out there,
Oh shit. Okay.
right? There are wellness coaches, career coaches, relationship coaches, and then under that umbrella, there's marriage, divorce, and dating.
Right.
There's financial coaches, empowerment coaches, and then we get into the realm of spirituality coaching, which
Mm-hmm.
can be a specific religion like Christianity or Judaism, and then we go into the alternative spiritual realm where we have Reiki healers and shamanism. So, we have the financial coach and the shaman and the dating coach and the divorce recovery coach and the vegan coach all under the same umbrella of life coaching.
Yeah. And then of course there's mindfulness, meditation, um, all of that stuff. But you could also double dip, right? I mean, you could start off kind of narrow and then go wider.
I think that's what happens to most people.
Yeah.
I think that when you first start out as a coach, you gravitate towards one niche that really mirrors who you are. And then as time goes on, you end up with, 4 or 5 complementary
Right.
different niche areas that mirror who you are and your own personal growth and your own personal story.
So the first step in finding the right training program is to figure out what category or what type of coach you kind of gravitate toward. And you don't really have to know, right? Because you could find out through the program.
100%. So if you're thinking about becoming a health coach, a business coach, or an athletic coach, you would need to go into a specialized training. So for executive coaching, I'd say, take a look at business school, quite
Mhm.
honestly. If you want to be a startup coach, you best have founded a company at one
Right.
point in your life. If you want to be a health coach, a nutritional coach, you need to have that specific knowledge of the body, of nutrition, so on and so forth. And then if you're kind of saying, well, I'm really good at helping people, I know I have the empathy chip, as so many of our coaches do, and I just don't know where I'm going to end up, I would suggest going with a really good generalist program. And the reason for that is you can't go wrong. The
Right.
science is the science. And a really great basic coaching hallway conversation is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's getting in the way? So you take that basic conversation, that basic technique, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's getting in the way? And then you overlay your specific interest or lens, whether it's coaching someone on veganism or coaching someone on self-esteem or self-love or coaching someone through career transition.
Yeah, I love what you said about having a kind of a foundation or a coaching soil. So once you have that, then you can, take more courses or get more education and specializing in what you want to do. But I do agree that everyone needs fundamental techniques and like, just even when it comes to the art of questioning and practicing empathy, all of that stuff, right?
Oh, 100%. And so when you're looking for a coach training program, I think the two most important words that you can look for are evidence-based.
Mm,
Evidence-based coach training is not based on cult of personality. It is not based on intuition. Evidence-based coach training is based on actual, empirically proven, scholarly sourced coaching techniques that you as a coach can stand behind because there is a body of literature, there is actual publications and books and science out there that tells you that what you're doing with the human in front of you will probably work.
yeah. I think one of the most important things, factors in finding a life coaching program that's right for you is to ask yourself also, like, are these your people? The community of the life coaching program.
I don't think there are any other life coaching programs besides ours that have an actual community.
Well, I think community is so important because, with me and my story, one of the problems I had when I was going through therapy school is how lonely it was. And when I was done, I just felt like I was just standing alone.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been through 7 coach training programs, and my first one was actual an actual graduate degree in executive
Mm.
coaching and
Hmm.
organizational development. And while the education was awesome, I was the youngest person to have ever gone through that program at this business school. And I felt like everybody around me had more experience. And I felt like, I was kind of the black sheep because everybody was going in this hardcore business direction. And I was kind of like, I think I want to work with women. And then that concept of taking executive coaching tenets 10 years ago and drilling them down into personal life coaching was didn't exist. Everybody
Hmm.
thought I was nuts. So I had to cut my path myself, and that's when I found you.
Yeah, yeah. I also think one of the big misconceptions with life coaching and what separates life coaching from other types of coaching is you don't have to have a perfect life. I think a lot of people think that if I want to be a life coach, I got to quote unquote get my shit together. And no one has a perfect life, and if you wait for that to happen, you're never going to be a life coach.
Oh, 100%. I hear that all the time. That's one of the main things that people talk about on calls with me is, my life is not great right now. And
Hmm.
right, life ebbs and flows. There will be times when your life feels like everything is in chaos, and there will be times when you feel pretty darn great about how you're surfing these waves.
Right.
It's you can still be human and also be great at your job.
What about pricing? Now, the spectrum of what life coach training programs cost is, it's very vast. What do you think about pricing and all of that?
It's very vast, and we really work hard to keep our coach training program at a price point that folks could afford.
Hmm.
We could charge a lot more for our program, but we don't because the people who come to us are going for second, third, fourth careers. A lot of them are going through a divorce. Everybody's at a transition point where they're doing something differently. And it's really important to us as an organization to support our people through those moments.
Hmm.
Uh, if you're looking at the different price points, I would really say, okay, look realistically at your life. What can you afford? And then you pay for what you get what you pay for, in so many different ways. If you're on Coursera and you say, oh, there's a $10 life coaching certification, I can get that and call myself a life coach. That's certainly true, but will you really have the knowledge that you need to work with complex humans, groups, or organizations?
Right. And that kind of brings me to the question that a lot of people ask, and it's like, how important is the actual certification?
Oh gosh, it's really not important at all
Hmm.
because like coaching is an unregulated field.
Right.
So, anyone can roll out of their door in the morning and say, "Hey, world, I'm a life coach." But
Right.
from a practitioner perspective, and knowing that you've been trained in a way where you can execute complex questioning and where you can handle complex situations, that's where the certification comes into play. And if you're looking for a life coaching program, make sure that there are people that you can ask questions of, because when you're done the program, because it's one thing entirely to learn all this stuff and even to do peer coaching and even to practice under supervision, but when you're out there in the field and you've nailed your first client and you have a contract and there's money on the line and it's not going well, that support is essential to building your career.
Yeah. I also think that the life coaching program is a great way to better your own life. So it's a lot of people take life coaching training programs to help other people, but they forget that if it's a really good program, it's also going to change your own life.
Oh, 100%. It is impossible to interact with this science if you've never been exposed to it before and not have a transformational experience.
Yeah.
And if
I,
you're not having a transformational experience, there's something wrong.
you're in the wrong program.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're not open to it. Maybe you're not ready.
I mean, that could be,
Yeah.
but we've changed now 500 people, and
Yeah.
across the board, I don't think there's anybody who's come away and just kind of said, "Yeah."
What would be one last kind of brush stroke, one last tip in how to find the right training program. For me, it would be, and it sounds kind of vague, but it would be more of an intuition thing where it's like, does this training program speak to you? You know, the people, the concept, the flags that they're waving, the way that they teach, all of that stuff. Just does it speak to you? And if it does, and it feels right, I would say that's the one to go with. What about you?
I completely agree. So authenticity in marketing and branding is probably one of the strongest trends in 2019 right now.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you're going to need to authentically show up as a professional. So when you're looking for a coach training program, you need to feel good about the training program that is going to, represent you and certify you and say this person is legit.
Hmm.
Um, so go with your intuition, and then also stop waiting.
Yeah.
How have you been thinking about being a life coach? Another year's going to go by. Give it a shot.
Right. And you don't have to quit your day job or change your life to take a life coaching program. You can do it on the weekends, right? Like how we do it.
You could do it on the weekends. You could build your practice on the side. You could use your coaching practice to supplement other business skills. You can expand a wellness practice. You can create content. You can go into wellness tourism. You can work for a company. You can work for a spa. It's
Yep.
endless.
Yes. And I just want to highlight, I love what you said about authenticity, because I feel like, especially today with the internet being a platform where, people can smell bullshit. And so if you want to be an authentic life coach, which is, I think, one of the biggest traits in attracting clients, find a life coach training program that feels authentic. If they don't feel authentic, you're probably not going to come out the other end practicing authenticity.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. And come check us out at JRNI.co. And you can call us and talk to Noelle and find out more about our program.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right. Be well.
Ready to cut through the BS of becoming a coach? Snag John and Noelle's 6-step guide to becoming a life coach at jrni.co/everything. That's jrni.co/everything. If what you've heard here today speaks to you and you want to learn a little bit more about becoming a coach, visit journey.co, jrni.co. We've graduated nearly 1,000 coaches and offer vibrant community, strong lifetime support, and world-class coaching education. We're fully ICF accredited and look forward to watching how you use coaching to make a bigger impact in the world around you.